There are moments when public concern for someone shifts into something more reflective. As conversations continue about Savannah Guthrie, stepping away from the spotlight to focus on her family, people close to her have quietly shared thoughts. Not dramatic revelations, not scandalous confessions, but reflections rooted in empathy. One voice that stood out was Barrymore. Known for her emotional openness and advocacy for healing complicated family bonds, Drew didn't deliver a headline-grabbing truth. Instead, she offered perspective. And sometimes, perspective feels heavier than any rumor ever could. What she spoke about wasn't mystery or intrigue. It was about strength, conditioning, love, and how the way we are raised shapes how we face crisis. Listening to her reflections reframes how many people now view Savannah Guthrie during this deeply personal season. Two women, two different upbringings. Drew has never hidden the complexities of her childhood. She's spoken openly about early independence, therapy, and rebuilding her sense of self. In contrast, Savannah has often described her upbringing as structured and steady, guided strongly by her mother, Nancy Guthrie. Drew's insight wasn't about exposing hidden drama. It was about contrasting dynamics. Where Drew experienced chaos and had to build boundaries later in life, she sees Savannah as someone shaped by discipline and high expectations from the start. According to Drew, Nancy instilled resilience almost as a survival skill. Strength wasn't optional, it was essential. That kind of upbringing can create remarkable composure. It can also quietly teach someone that vulnerability belongs behind closed doors. Drew didn't criticize that dynamic. She simply observed how powerfully it molded Savannah into the poised figure audiences know today. Strength as a love language. One of the most striking points Drew made was that resilience appeared to function almost like a love language in Savannah's home. Not in a harsh or unkind way, but in a deeply ingrained one. The message wasn't don't feel, but rather handle it. Over time, handling things well becomes proof of maturity, capability, even worth. Drew suggested that Savannah learned early on that composure earned affirmation. If you were prepared, you performed. If you struggled, you recalibrated. The reward wasn't applause, it was pride. That pattern can build extraordinary leaders. It can also make moments of helplessness especially difficult. Drew's reflection wasn't meant to diagnose, but to illuminate. She sees a woman who has been conditioned to respond to crisis by organizing it, structuring it, presenting it with clarity rather than chaos. Rewatching through a new lens. For viewers who have watched Savannah address difficult moments on television over the years, Drew's words add nuance. Savannah's public demeanor has long been steady, even during breaking news or emotionally charged interviews. Drew believes that steadiness is not accidental. It's learned. It's practiced. It's rooted in a lifetime of being the person who gathers herself before speaking. She pointed out that when Savannah speaks publicly, there's a cadence to it. Gratitude first, acknowledgement second, emotion measured carefully. That structure isn't coldness, it's discipline. According to Drew, it may even be a quiet tribute to how Savannah was raised. Watching her now, many people say they see the same thing Drew sees. Someone choosing strength because that's the language she was taught to use when the world feels unstable. The cost of constant composure. But composure, no matter how admirable, has a cost. Drew's empathy seemed to center here. She understands what it means to untangle childhood patterns in adulthood. In her view, Savannah's instinct to remain composed could be both protective and exhausting. When you're raised to solve, to steady, to push forward, you may not always know how to publicly unravel. Drew emphasized that this isn't about suppression in a dramatic sense. It's about habit. Some people cry openly. Others process privately and present clarity later. Savannah appears to belong to the second group. Drew didn't frame that as weakness or denial. Instead, she gently suggested that strength without space to soften can feel isolating, and isolation during difficult seasons can weigh heavily, even on the strongest individuals. Motherhood and mirroring. Another layer Drew touched on was motherhood. Both women have spoken publicly about raising children under the scrutiny of public life. Drew wonders how inherited patterns echo forward. When you grow up equating resilience with love, you may unconsciously model that same message. Yet, Drew also believes awareness creates opportunity. She sees Savannah as someone thoughtful and intentional, a mother who deeply loves her children and wants them to feel secure. That awareness may mean that even if she was forged in high expectations, she has the ability to soften those edges for the next generation. Drew's reflections weren't accusatory. They were hopeful. She believes that recognizing where strength came from can open the door to redefining it, not as performance, but as balance. Public strength versus private processing. The public often expects visible emotion during hardship. When it doesn't appear, assumptions rush in. Drew challenged that reflex. Not everyone expresses fear or grief the same way. For some, clarity is comfort. For others, stillness is control. Drew sees Savannah as someone who organizes her emotions before sharing them. That doesn't mean the emotions aren't there. It may mean they run deeper than most people realize. She suggested that what looks like distance might actually be intense internal processing. It's a reminder that public figures are still human beings navigating private realities. Drew's tone reportedly wasn't dramatic. It was compassionate. She urged those listening to interpret Savannah's steadiness not as detachment, but as a coping strategy rooted in decades of conditioning. The desire to be enough, perhaps the most moving part of Drew's reflection, centered on a universal theme: the desire to be enough in a parent's eyes. Even in healthy, loving families, that desire can shape life decisions. Drew spoke from her own experience when she said that children, no matter their age, often continue performing for their parents long into adulthood. For Savannah, whose identity is tied closely to resilience, that performance might simply look like poise. Drew's insight wasn't that love was absent. It was that approval and strength were intertwined. That can create an internal voice that says, "Handle this well." And when facing hardship, that voice can grow louder. Drew's hope, she reportedly shared, is that strength will one day feel less like proof and more like choice. Empathy over speculation. Importantly, Drew did not frame her thoughts as expose or revelation. She wasn't unveiling secrets, she was encouraging empathy. In a media environment quick to speculate, her perspective felt grounding. She asked people to look beyond headlines and see a daughter shaped by devotion and discipline. She urged compassion for someone carrying private weight while navigating public visibility. The message was simple. We rarely see the full story of anyone's upbringing, but we can choose kindness in how we interpret their present behavior. That shift, from analysis to empathy, changes the tone of the conversation entirely. Instead of asking why someone isn't reacting differently, it invites us to ask how their history might be guiding them. A broader conversation about strength. In the end, Drew's reflections opened a broader dialogue about how we define strength. Is it stoicism? Is it vulnerability? Is it the ability to pivot between the two? Watching Savannah through this lens encourages a more layered understanding. Strength might be what she was taught. Softness might be what she's still learning to allow publicly. Both can coexist. Drew's hope, reportedly, is that no matter what unfolds in the coming weeks, Savannah remembers she doesn't have to earn love through perfection. That message resonates far beyond one family or one situation. It speaks to anyone raised to equate resilience with worth. And perhaps that's why Drew's words linger. They aren't explosive. They're human